Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Keri, and welcome to the podcast, Keri on with Life and Coffee. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, so I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit of an idiot, which I will kind of talk about throughout this episode of why. Well, I'm not really an idiot, but there's a lot of things going on with my brain. So I recorded the podcast. It was very nice. I went through the recording, no hiccups, no nothing. And I look at my recording software I use for recording the podcast, Audacity. I didn't hit the record. Well, actually, at first, the inputs for the microphone was recording out of the computer microphone instead of this one. I was like, oh, great. Good job, Keri. And then I record the video here. That's recording. And then I realized the audio gain on this wasn't going. And then I realized, oh, I didn't hit the record button. I'm so special. I'm a hot mess, guys. I really am. But now I have the video recorded. I have the podcast track going. Oh, gosh. Whoop. Change the filter. So everything's going. Maybe I should not mess with this, but I'm looking at my face right now, and it's a little too close to comfort, so I'm going to back it up. Yeah, that's a lot better. Much better. I'm going to record like this. Okay. So it was hard the first time around, really recording this podcast. I've been going through some medical stuff. And let's talk about it. For those for those who don't know, I am a migraine sufferer. And you're thinking to yourself, well, migraines, everybody gets them. A lot of people do. Yeah, they sure do. But have you ever met someone who's had complex migraine with aurora? Maybe not, because they're rare. Let's dive into that. I made a podcast episode about my migraines, how I suffer from them, what do I do, how do I take it, what do I take, what's my cocktail. Any migraine sufferer has a cocktail that helps them relieve their migraine pain. For me, it's Advil and a can of Rockstar. Boom. Migraine gone. But lately I've had an episode of what's called complex migraine with roar. First time I had it was back in November. I was at work, and I remember I was very vertigo, very dizzy. I was out pushing carts at work, and I thought, maybe I need to sit down. Maybe I'm overworking myself. I go into the break room. I sit down. Next thing I know, the top part of my body is numb. My tongue starts going numb. And my eyes started rolling in the back of my head. I'm going in and out of consciousness. Can't really respond to anybody. I'm making a lot of sounds. I have seizure-like symptoms. I have stroke-like symptoms. I end up going to the hospital. Go to the hospital. They say, you have complex migraine with aurora. It's not a seizure. It's not epilepsy. But it is the same characteristics as it. And they say, well, this is a really rare thing. This doesn't happen. So don't worry about it. Okay. So I was working with my primary physician. I didn't really get with a neurologist at the time because I felt like maybe it's not necessary to see a neurologist. My primary doctor has me get sinus balloon procedure to open up my sinuses because I have a deviated it's a deviated septum on the right side of my nose, which can contribute to headaches and other things. So to correct that, she had me get a sinus balloon procedure to open up the sinuses to, hope that it would relieve the migraines. I had that done. Still didn't work. I've actually had 4 different appointments opening up the sinuses. My sinuses are open. I can breathe like a heck of a lot better than I did before, but it didn't actually correct the problem. So now sinuses are not the issue. Then my doctor said, you're still getting migraines, so let's go ahead and start getting you on a prescription medication. I see a naturopathic doctor, so we try to do things naturally. So the doctor decided, okay, your migraines are getting bad. Let's go ahead and get you on Sumatriptan. Sumatriptan is basically medication that you take to help with tryptin in your brain. So if I type in Sumatriptan, I'll show you guys this real quick. Let me go ahead and switch over to screen. Okay, here we go. Sumatriptan. What does it do to the brain? So it causes narrowing of the blood vessels in the brain. It may also relieve pain by affecting certain nerves in the brain. It doesn't prevent future migraines or lessen how often you get the migraine. So with that said, basically, Sumatriptan is narrowing of the vessels to help relieve the blood flow. So my primary physician thought that was a great idea. I actually did, let's see. So 2 weeks ago, I had a migraine. I took it, wasn't feeling all that great. This past Friday, I had another migraine. I took it, and I was throwing up more than really the medication was helping me out with. But I also was dealing with a little bit of a stomach bug because my son Ethan had it, and it was going around the house. So let's jump into Saturday. Saturday, I woke up. My stomach was kind of a little messed up. I started having vertigo. Same thing that happened to me the first time when I had this complex migraine with Aurora. I didn't think that it was that was happening so much. I thought maybe I was dehydrated, so I drank some fluid. I got a little bit of food in me, thinking maybe I'm dehydrated, need some food, whatever the case may be. Very vertigo. I sat down on the couch. My husband was home at the time because he was sick. And we're watching TV. Next thing I know, my eyes start rolling in the back of my head. Out of nowhere. Nothing I can control. It's rolling in the back of my head. And Kevin was asking me something. And I didn't respond right away. And he kind of looks over and he goes, oh no. I'm like, oh crap. I know what this is. Because my husband saw me in the state that I was last time with the complex migraine. So he knew exactly what was going on. So he was talking with me and asking me stuff. And it was crazy because I was actually coherent. I was able to talk to him and he was able to talk to me and I could hear what he's saying. But my eyes are rolling in the back of my head and my left arm is flapping around like a fish, like I'm having tremors. I can't control this. I had this going on for like 2-3 minutes. It would stop. I kind of wake up from it almost. And then it would happen again, another 2-3 minutes. So I had little stints of episodes that would go through. Ultimately, I had Kevin call the ambulance. The ambulance came by, picked me up, took me to the hospital. Went into the hospital. The doctor went in. He was asking me what was going on. And then between the time I got to the hospital and then waiting for the doctor to come in and see me, I was in and out having those episodes, eyes rolling back in my head, body moving, can't control it. When he was assessing me and asking me questions, boom, I was like, okay, here we go. and I felt my eyes going and I was like, okay, here we go. This is it. And he's like, okay. So he's watching and I'm flapping around like a fish. My left arm is flapping around. My head is shaking. He's kind of like watching what's going on. He's asking me questions, asking me how I'm doing. He's just kind of letting this, kind of do its thing, because there's not really much he can do. All he can do is assess the situation and kind of figure out everything. And which is good, because he was able to notate this in my ER visit, noted everything in the computer. So he gave me some medication, let me sleep it off for a little bit. I was able to discharge, go home. He referred me to the neurologist near the hospital that I went to. And I got in with the neurologist a couple of days ago. I lucked out. It was a super early morning appointment, like 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. The lady's like, well, we got this appointment, or you can wait till April 16th, our first available. And we have open availability that day. I'm like, no, that's okay. I'm going to take the 8:30. I'm going to suck it up like a big girl, and I'm going to go in and be a grown-ass adult and get my ass to the doctor and figure out what the hell is going on with my brain. That's what I'm going to do. So I did. I got up early. I went to the doctor's office, filled out the paperwork, and I went in and I saw the neurologist. Oh my God. First of all, the neurologist's office, woo! Holy crap. It was like walking in to Nordstrom's or something. It was so beautiful. I was like, dang, these neuro doctors, we fancy. I walked in. I went into the waiting room, which was a generic waiting room. It wasn't super fancy. But we walked in, or I should say I walked in. Then the neurologist came and she introduced herself. She's like, hey, how's it going? And she answered all the questions that I needed to answer. So basically it boils down to this. What the hell is going on with Keri'S brain? Is it epilepsy? Is it just a migraine? What's going on with this? Well, this is how the neurologist broke it down to me. She said that when a complex migraine with Aurora happens, it is a migraine. Whether it feels like a throbbing migraine or nothing at all, it's still a migraine. Because migraines are just like internal seizures that are happening, because it affects different parts of the brain. That's why migraine suffers light, sound, sensitivity, smell. Like all our senses are affected in one way or the other because of the brain activity that's happening inside the brain. And the blood vessels and everything's, out of whack. So it's an internal internal seizure almost that's happening. When you see someone showing signs of like stroke or seizure, that's what they call like a focal seizure, where it affects different, like the body or the eyes or anything like that. That is more aligned to it. But the doctor said it's way too early to call it epilepsy or seizure. At this point, it's a big question mark of, is it or is it not? And the only way to really determine that is through what's called a EEG. And I'll show you guys here what an EEG is. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see. Oh, this is brain mapping. That's pretty much what it is. But I have Aetna, so I was looking to see if they cover EEG or not, in case you guys were wondering. EEG test. So let's go ahead and look up the definition of EEG. An I can't talk. An EEG is a test that detects abnormalities in your brain waves or in the electrical activity of your brain. During the procedure, electrodes consisting of small metal discs with thin wires are pasted onto your scalp. The electrodes detect tiny electrical charges that result from the activity of your brain cells. And as you can see here, you got this dude. He looks really sad. Let's see. Yeah, it kind of looks something like this. We'll pull up a copy. Okay, so we go to this guy. He looks really sad. He's not happy he's having this EEG. This is going to be me. This is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get all this around my face, my head. So that is what's going to happen. And my understanding from the neurologist is she is going to have, they're going to do a series of tests, like flashing lights, different situations that could spike the brain activity. So if your brain's going like this and they go like this, then they know something's happening. I mean, if you look back, I'll show you real quick here. If we go back to where it says EEG, okay. So something like this. Oh, that's too small. Let's find something a little bit bigger. If we find, okay, this is a good, this is okay. Let's click on the, that's still, whatever. Okay, much better. Thank you. All right. So they, test different parts of the brain, depending on like the brain activity here. So something was going on here, and then it just kind of like leveled out here from what it looks like. Or I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not 100% sure how this works out. I've never had this procedure ever in my life. But I'm assuming this is like something happened here because you can see dips going on. So something happened. So that gives you like a general idea of what they're looking for in the EEG. This is just an example. I pulled it off of Google. This is not mine. So they want to measure my brain activity, see what's going on, see what spikes, what part of the brain is happening where's the informalities. And then at this point, the doctor can determine, is this just a migraine or do I have epilepsy? That's really what it boils down to. This test, this EEG, will give a better picture to the neurologist what it can be. I'm scared. I never say that out loud, but I'm so scared. I really am. For all this to kind of happen the way it has. From the first time I had it happen, it was like, okay, that was a fluke. But for the second time to happen, it raises eyebrows. For a neurologist to tell me it could be one or the other, that's a scary thought. It's like finding a tumor. Is it benign? Or is it a true cancer tumor? Just the thought of the possibility that I could have epilepsy is a really scary thought. And I know there's a lot of successful people out there who can control epilepsy with medication. They could live their lives the way they could. Absolutely. Nothing should hold anybody back to what they want to do in life. But as someone who is been pretty much healthy their whole entire life, and then all of a sudden this sprung up on them, it's scary. Honest to God, I am scared to death. Migraines I can handle. Migraines I've dealt with. And I can roll with the punches when it comes to migraines. The idea of taking medication every day to control seizures, that's scary. And that can change a lot of things. I probably can't drive a car anymore. My license could probably be taken away. I probably won't be able to, operate a forklift if I wanted to. There is certain limitations, unfortunately, when someone has a medical condition. And I don't wish anybody to have any sort of medical condition on them. Everybody should be happy, healthy, and live their life the way they want to. But this changes everything for me. If ultimately the EEG determines that this is what it is, that's the thought that goes through my mind that really scares me. Honest to God, it scares me. It's a big life change. And I can't dwell too much about it because I have to do this test in order to figure out what's going on. And once we get the results of this test, then we'll see what happens. So I just have to look at everything one day at a time, looking forward, living my life, doing what I got to do, creating podcasts, making YouTube videos, doing what I love, and not dwell on this so much. Whatever the case may be, I have to embrace what it is. Epilepsy, migraine. It's a part of who I am, and I have to accept that and go on with life. But this whole question of what if, big question mark of what it is that's going on with my brain. It's scary. So that's pretty much what's going on. I'm like I said, when I take the EEG, we'll figure out what happens, and I'll definitely keep you guys in tune on what's going on. But today it feels like a dark cloud has kind of hovered over my head, and it's something I thought about. And thank God I saw my therapist today. Oh man, because she saw, as soon as I walked in her door, she kind of knew something was up, and I told her what happened and everything. We talked about it, and it's so nice to have a therapist to walk you through all these things. I'm really grateful for that. I totally am. So again, I'll keep you posted. I'll let you guys know. I figured if I do this podcast, I could share with others who might be going through the same situation as I am. Maybe you have complex migraine with Aurora. Maybe you have migraines. Maybe you have epilepsy. Ugh, can't even talk. Epilepsy. If you do, please share me some information. I would really love it. Any feedback, any comments, any love, support, I'll take it. I really would appreciate it. Anything at this point. So I'm welcome to all kinds of opinions, bad, good, meh. Give it to me. So I am going to go ahead and leave it here. If you guys are interested in hearing about what's going on with me next, go ahead and leave a comment on the video on YouTube. Let me know. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you can follow up on the updates. I'm also on Instagram, Carry On with Life Coffee. Facebook page. You can go ahead and, send a message to Facebook as well. Carry On with Life and Coffee, the official Facebook page. And I'm on Twitter. You can send me a message on Twitter, I guess. Carry On with Life is the Twitter handle. And if you are watching on YouTube, you need to subscribe to the podcast. Follow me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play. Follow me there. And podcasters, check me out on YouTube. Just type in youtube.com. Type in Carry On with Life Coffee. Follow the YouTube page. And there you go. So until then, guys, have yourself a wonderful day. And carry on with life and coffee. Bye, guys.